This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show, and today I'm pleased to have Nikki Misery of New Year's Day on the show. How you doing, Nikki?
Dude, I'm living dreams out here, man. How you been?
Dude, I've been awesome. I want you to just tell the story of how we met.
So when I was maybe 12, 13, my mom wanted me to do like modeling, like get me into like TV and stuff like that. And we set up to get some headshots done. I went there, and Mr. Eric Blair right here was doing my makeup. And I brought in like a couple props with me. I think I had like a fedora, and I had this bass guitar. And I was just starting to get into punk rock at the time. And I remember you asking me, he's like, "Oh, you play?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What bands do you like?" I was like, "TSOL." He's like, "TSOL." And we sat there, and you taught me how to play Code Blue.
Really?
On bass. And I never forgot that. I never forgot. That was the first time I wore makeup, which if you know me and the band, I had that extensive, insane, wild history with the makeup. And yeah. So once when I got the email about we got, do you guys want to approve these interviews? It's like, Eric Blair, yes.
Cool. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
I'm glad. I'm proud of you, brother.
Thank
I really
you.
am. It's. I won't say you're the only person that I've rubbed shoulders with that's become successful, but I'm very proud of you. You are living the dream.
Thank you. It's actually a dream. I still feel like with what's going on with this band, I still feel like one day I'm gonna be playing a show and I'm gonna wake up and be 12, and having to go to school, be like, no, that was all a dream.
So what were the pros and cons of your early youth?
I want to say the pros are the cons at the same time, or the cons are the pros. I remember, you get into rock and roll, and you get attracted to the dark side of it. And I was into a lot of bad stuff when I was younger, and I got into a lot of trouble. But I was happy I did that when I was younger, because now older, I stay pretty clean.
At what age was there a change?
16.
Okay.
Oh, well, I actually got arrested at school. So I was put into a rehab and stuff like that, at that young age. And just seeing my parents crying and stuff like that. And my sister was really young at the time. And I just I remember seeing that going this is not who I want to be. This is not the person. I don't need to be doing this, And it was pretty much from right then, kind of turned my life around. Stayed with the positivity parts of music, and affecting people in a positive way, and putting out some kind of positive message, even if you're letting out your dark side or your blues in a sense.
When you went to rehab, were you in an ICU, or what was it?
No, it wasn't that bad. It was all outpatient stuff, yeah. But it was this one. It was the Chapman Hospital one.
I don't understand how you had that revelation, because at 16 you're still rebelling against the world. Yeah. Did you see other people and you're like, man, I don't want to be like that?
Yes, and I still see people like that, and I still see people making those same mistakes, and then you wonder why they're not going anywhere. But I guess you want to rebel, and I'm still always going to be a rebel in my sense, but. You can only really rebel and fight the system if you're alive. Yeah. You ain't gonna do nothing if you're dead, or you're wasting your life away, or the only thing you're waking up for is to get a fix, to try to be a normal person.
What do you want to change about the world as Nikki Misery now?
There's a lot with social media and stuff like that. I guess in a sense, I always see these kids and all they really care about is who's cute, who's in the band and stuff like that. But there's so much more. Our food is pretty much being poisoned every day. Our skies are being poisoned. Our politics is a awful reality show of a joke, and there's so much more to worry about than school. Our school system's sad as it is, there's so much more that we need to be focusing on, especially if you think of humans only use 12% of our brain, or whatever it is. It just seems we're not even using we have so much potential as humans and as people. I don't know, I think we're being distracted.
Ultimately, with the band and the lyrics that I hear Ash singing, her travails that she's gone through are evident in her lyrics.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, do you feel that even though she's singing about her own travails, that other people can wear those lyrics also?
Absolutely. And they have some of the songs, we had the song Malevolence that we played off of the last album, the title track. And I remember they had this one part in there, and it would pretty much just it'd clench at your heart, I would feel it, and you would have this explosion of energy on stage as well. And with all, like, even her lyrics, I still hear them and relate my own life into them as if I lived those experiences, as if these were my words.
I heard you guys dated.
Yeah. We actually we dated for about 5 years, and that's kind of how, like, I got my foot in the band, although that wasn't the reason. But yeah, it was funny. We met at this goth club in LA, and we both got dragged there, and it was something for like the label that the band was on at the time. And in protest, she wore all white to this goth club, and I dressed like this 1970s Pee Wee Herman. You know, I combed my hair like really flat to the side. I had these big giant glasses, this ruffled, tuxedo shirt, and she just comes up to me like, "You look like someone I need to know." And we've kind of just been friends ever since.
The last time I saw you was in 2010 backstage at the Vans Warped Tour, and at that time you were playing with Mixie's band, Stitched Up Heart.
Yeah.
And you were still kind of a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still a kid to me, but I mean, you were a little like looking like a kid back then.
Yeah.
So how did you go? What were the best parts of playing with Mixie? And then how did you go from playing with Mixie in Stitched Up Heart to being in New Year's Day?
Well, actually, that was my first tour. And it was a rough tour. I don't think that most of us in that band really knew what we were doing. Like, we went out on tour with no merch, no money, trying to figure out like who's gonna fill up gas today. I'm like, I don't even have money for food, you know. Like, it was 2 bands in a 9-passenger Suburban, and like that pretty much taught me like how to survive like on the road, you know. And it was a great experience, and as hard as it was, you know, but it was great. Like, I remember after that band, then I got invited to join this band. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Because they had like a more horror vibe to it. It was more like my style. And so obviously I jumped ship and came to New Year's Day. And I remember they were in a 15-passenger van. And like, I'm so sorry you have to be in this van. I was like, dude, I was 2 bands in a 9-passenger Suburban. I feel like I'm in a mansion in this van, you know?
Your tone. Your profession, you know, being a professional, showing up on time, having your look together, having your stage presence. Do you feel that you completely got those things from being in Stitched Up Heart, or was there still room for growth?
There's always room for growth. I mean, like with style and the way I've played, like I've always had that, you know. Tone-wise, I'm actually more of a plug in and play. That's my punk rock side. I just plug in however it sounds. That's how I did it. I ended up going to Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California, and one of my best friends there was this guy named Matt Varley, who oddly enough he now has this pyro company that like works with like Rammstein. He was Nikki Sixx's bass tech for a bit, and I remember he's the one that really started to like push me into like, look, if you're gonna do this right, you know. And like, I remember we would just sit there and practice, like constantly like be in the pocket, and if I would get off, he would take a drumstick and throw it at me. You know, I learned a lot of the stuff I learned in like my discipline and professionalism. I actually learned from him and Musicians Institute in LA. Since then, it's been like I've been constantly moving since MI.
I don't know. What do you play through a pod? I mean, what is your...
I was with Orange Amps for a bit, and I was playing those for like pretty much the past 6-7 years. And then I'm not much of like a gearhead or anything. Like, I don't know much of that stuff. And then they just got me like the Helix rack. So now I don't need an amp. I don't need a head. It's just
direct?
Oh my gosh. And it's amazing. Like, especially like for loading out, like you just have one box and then there you go. It's insane. It's so crazy. I didn't know all this technology really existed, you know? And it's funny because like our tour manager, who does front of the house as well, on the last tour we did the sound check, and then we found out that we couldn't have sound checks anymore like before we play. Like, well, how are we going to do this? He's like, well, I recorded you guys the first time. I would do this like, you know, this virtual sound check. I'm like, that exists? They're like, yeah, man. I was like, cool, all right, you know? So just now we're just like with this technology now, like, you know, I never have like I won't use like cables anymore. It's all wireless. That way I can just run out into the crowd and run out in the middle of the street and play, especially like with my energy on stage. Like all this stuff works so much better. And then for me, change tubes or anything, the electronics in my cab doesn't go out anymore because I don't have to worry about that.
What is the greatest sacrifice you've had to make to get where you are today?
I think one of the biggest things is giving up a normal life. You don't have normal relationships with people. Like girlfriends don't last as long because you're home for a week or you're home for a month and then you're gone for like the rest of the year. I don't get to see, my family grow up in a sense, because I'm always gone. I guess maybe the saddest part is seeing if my dog recognizes me when I come back home.
What kind of dog?
It's like this little short-haired German pointer, and then we got a pit bull at the house, and then we got this little baby, like half Chihuahua Yorkie, kind of little rugrat thing, little fur ball.
Where did you find the maturity to be going out with Ash for 5 years and then be able to deal with being in a band with her afterwards? Because most people could not handle that.
No, it was hard. Of course, you have your hard, difficult times. Like it was rough for a bit, and it was actually our first headliner tour is like around that happened, and I remember like it just seemed like this band was about to fall apart, and somehow we would get on that stage and let out all of our aggression and everything we had, and we come off and be like, that was a great show, like you did good. By the end of the show, I'm gonna totally plug this, but you could tell that this band was unbreakable, and Ash has become, pretty much a sister to me now. Like my best friend, always has my back. I always have her back. It's but there were times though that we thought one of us was going to push each other in the freeway. But you just persevered. You went through it, and just there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
She must really value you. Because most girls would want to push the ejector seat. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think she had her finger on the button. I want to say she was trying to tap it a couple times, but I don't know how we worked out, but we did. Then now I'm like the second longest member in the band, so it's like, what do you do?
A lot of the critics that I've read the reviews of the album, they definitely feel that you're integral to the sound of this band, even though some of the other critics were saying this is definitely Ash's band. Mm-hmm. But from music history, that the band sound and what happens in the studio is like baking a chocolate cake. All of those ingredients have got to be there because there's a chemical reaction that happens. And if one of those chemicals is missing, it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could burn the whole house down, the whole kitchen dies, or you might have a delicious treat ready for you, It's exactly like that. And it's crazy too, because like that whole like breakup and stuff like that happened during the Malevolence album, and it's crazy because you can hear like the sadness and the pain, and like because it was such a difficult time for everybody like on that tour. Just everything seemed to be going wrong in life, and then compared to now with Unbreakable, like this band is on such a high morale. Like everybody's actually like happy, we got nothing to really complain about, and you can feel like that emotional change in compared to both albums.
This gentleman, Jimmy Trigger, comes into the picture. Uh-huh. I've never heard of the guy until I start doing research on Ash. Yeah. So tell me about this guy and how you saw him slowly become, Ash's man, and what are some of the qualities that you like about him?
Actually, oddly enough, first time I saw the dude, I was sitting right over there, and we were playing Chain Reaction, and I remember he walked by with somebody. That's where they first met. And then maybe a week later, Ash and I were hanging out, and she's like, oh, I met somebody. I was like, oh, good, And she was, showing me a picture. And I was like, wow, he looks like Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones. And she's like, oh my God, he does. And so now we either call him that or like Aquaman for the longest time. And then they started dating. As long as he treats her good, that's all I care about. But he's got his own band, A Trigger Within. He's an amazing vocalist. He kills it. Got to see him play a couple times.
Wait, is he on a label?
No. They're still. They've been playing a lot around like the Southern California area, but as far as I know, I don't think so.
So do you think that there's a power couple situation arising out of this?
I guess time tells on that one. Yeah. I never look at that, as like a power couple, because then, I always feel like if I say something like that, I'm going to jinx it.
Sadly, I always think of Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, and that is so 90s.
Yeah. I wonder if people even like remember that now. That then they had Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher after that.
That was the powerless couple.
Yeah.
I'm
Doesn't
sorry.
really go too well.
What is the most unselfish thing you've ever done for somebody?
Ooh. Actually, just recently, I said, we should start getting all like this new gear and stuff. Like we got the Helix, and this is actually the first time I've had like in-ears. And oddly enough, it's the first time in about 8 years I've actually been able to hear myself play. So I got like this Sennheiser pack, and I went to Guitar Center. I got me like these $200 pairs of like in-ears. And Frankie, our bass player, his ears went out, and then I just went out and just bought him the same $200-300 pair of in-ears. I was like, oh wow, really? I was like, yeah, man, no, I'm gonna sweat it. So that's the most recent thing I could think of. And then we brought our, I know it's not insane, but then we brought our tour manager back some tacos.
You were there for the Blood on the Dance Floor tour, the All the Rage tour.
Yep.
Did you feel the urge for your fists to go flying at some point?
So many times, and they had times that. Like at the time, the band was coming back after the whole My Dear, so Ash was very, I don't know what's the right way to put it. But yeah, there were plenty of times. I remember she had to hold us back because we were about to attack him. He laid hands on her before, and we're like, why can't we just beat the shit out of him? Mm-hmm. Like, your Southern California punk rock self starts coming out. Like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
We toured with them 3 times, and then you start seeing the disgusting things that would be happening on that tour. And it's all absolutely true. And we called it out, like, we sent all this stuff to, like, the police. Kids came forward, to us about it. And, like, they had, like, conversations of him talking to a 16-year-old girl. Like, we had it there. But they sent it to the police, I guess, something like, different states have different things, so they have to deal with this. Like, this guy's going after kids. Like, fuck everything else. Like, do something about it. But it's good to see this stuff is finally coming out now. And I hope they get them.
When she first came out about it, I read about it, I think in AP or something like that. And I thought to myself, why? Why does this have to happen?
Yeah.
Did you ask yourself why?
Absolutely. And at the same time too, it's like, I don't know, like how do these people get away with it? In that sense too. And I remember what happened exactly, because we actually got kicked off that tour. But they had this girl, so Ash was singing one of the songs with them on stage, and he would get a little too uncomfortable, so she would just stop singing up there. So they had like another girl sing, and I remember we were by the merch table because we would go like to merch like after the show and try to sell. And they had this girl came with the same hair as Ashley, and I was like, hey, they invited me on the bus, and we were wondering if we should go. And we're like, no, stay away from that bus, don't do anything. She ended up going on the bus anyway, and told them that we said that. He called us on their bus the next day and wanted us to get down on our knees and apologize to him. And we're like, no, this is not happening. And that's when they removed us from the tour. And we're like, well, absolutely, we're going home. We don't want to be a part of this at all.
I'm sorry. That sucks. No, I think it's good that you got kicked off the tour.
I do too.
I honestly don't feel like you got kicked off. I feel like you actually were relieved.
Yeah, no, we were definitely relieved. And what sucked is they had some parts of the label too was like, you guys shouldn't have done that. You guys hurt, you guys may have, hurt some professional ties. And we're like, fuck that. This is guys going after kids. Like, nothing else should matter. Why don't you have our backs over this? But didn't seem to hurt us.
Is that the point when you realized who your real friends were?
Yeah, exactly. And to see like what kind of team you really have behind you. Like, what do you guys really care about? Do you guys want the greater good for actual, morale, or you guys just trying to make a buck? Because if that's what you're all about, then we're good.
Awesome. How did you end up going from Stitched Up Heart to New Year's Day?
Well, like their guitar player left, and I got invited. But one of the big reasons why they wanted me is like we used to go watch each other's bands after I met Ash. I would go watch New Year's Day play. They would come watch me in Stitched Up Heart. And I remember Stitched Up Heart was trying to get on the same label that we were on, which I believe was Hollywood Wasted at the time. And I remember Ash was there with Don Robertson, who was running the thing. And they used to watch my explosive energy on stage. I remember Don like nudging Ash going, "You need that guy in your band." And yeah, I was the first person they asked. I learned the songs in like a week, and then it's been ever since. That explosion of energy is still there.
What do you feel, or what do you think you bring to New Year's Day?
I definitely know I bring a show. You know, I've always had this thing that like you could love us or hate us, but you're damn well not going to forget us. And I've always wanted that. I mean, everyone wants to be like a lead singer per se, and but just the fact that I sound like a dying animal if I try to sing. So you know, my thing was instruments, and I've always wanted to stand out. Absolutely, in some kind of way, and just like be a scar in people's eyes. I can't just sit still and just play guitar normally. I have to be trying to break it, throwing it around somewhere, crawling on the floor. Yeah. And then that too, just in like, growing up listening to punk rock, like you just had that explosion of energy, and I don't know any other way to play.
Do you hold yourself accountable for the impact you have on the lives of your fans?
I don't think so, because I'm still very much... Like I believe it happens, but I still can't believe it at the same time. So it's still like this kind of like dreamy awe for me. Like when people come say like, "Oh, you really helped me through this," I was like, "Wow, you guys like us." Like I almost don't believe it. Like I try to stay as humble as possible with all this, because like I'm being able to do the things that music did for me, and I'm like our band's doing that for other people. And like to me, like that's the real dream, and that's the real success. You can have all the money in the buses, but like the fact that like I'm able to affect these people's lives and get them through difficult situations on their own, and be that soundtrack, it's more of a blessing than anything.
How have you stayed humble? How do you have that mentality to stay humble? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
So how have you not been corrupted by this power?
I don't know how to say it like this, but like, it's just the way I was raised. Like after every tour, I still go home, hang out with the mom and pops and all. And like, it really grounds you. I still got to clean my room, make my bed. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't be, I don't know. I don't want to be an asshole.
Do you believe evil exists? And if so, how would you define it?
Yes. The political system.
What do you think about the homeless problem? And are you seeing it in other states as you travel around?
I definitely see it in other states as traveling around. There's so many places, like especially you park at Walmarts and stuff like that. And I remember being in Atlanta and turning in a corner, and it looked like The Walking Dead. Just all of a sudden, all these homeless people would come up. Salt Lake City has like a really bad area, and it just sucks when you go and you're traveling and like you can't really, you're not supposed to walk too far, like that's a sad thing to see. And I remember too, like coming up the 5 freeway when you had the Santa Ana River, you would just see like the whole alleyways. That's all. It's just sad to see. You could easily share the wealth and spread it to feed and clothe and house every human on earth.
How do you feel about Revolver's Hottest Chicks in Hard Rock magazine? Do you feel that objectifies women or empowers them?
I mean, I wouldn't know, because I'm not a woman to be able to see how it goes. Ash has always felt proud when she was in it. She digs it. I always like seeing it.
How important is fame to your ego, and could you live without it?
I don't need fame at all. It was so funny because when we used to wear all the makeup, I loved it because I could go out and nobody would have any idea who I was. I remember I would go to Disneyland with Ash, and people would go up to her and be like, "Oh my God, Ash, can I take a picture?" And they would just look at me like, they would have no idea. And I've always liked that. It kind of reminded me of like feeling like Kiss, without the makeup on. Fame, I don't know. I'm good without it.
New album Unbreakable. Is that song about Ash?
It's pretty much about like how I was describing before, how we were talking about like malevolence came from such like a hard, very like negative emotionally, like we were all falling apart, and the way that we survived won't stop. We keep going. We persevere. We've pushed through all the no's, all the people that tried to keep us down, and we've had that so much, especially like Blood on the Dance Floor. We've been told no from every label, been called makeup bands. We don't want to do that anymore. But the fact that we're still here, we're still going strong, and people still want it and love it, that's how we feel Unbreakable.
Do you co-write the lyrics at all?
No.
Okay.
All the lyrics is just straight Ash.
Why do you feel that the Malevolence album, that period, why do you feel you guys all hit rock bottom? Now, I understand some stuff happened to Ash during that period.
Yeah, it was everybody. Like, at that time, I think, well, during the writing process of that, we weren't signed to a label, I don't believe yet. And, it was a constant, like, being told no to everything. It just seemed like, it was like you're hitting the edge and, like, this band was about to fall apart. And just everybody's lives, like, just, it was, for some reason, we were all in a dark spot, just mentally. I remember, like, all our relationships were falling apart, and, like, we almost felt like nobody got along in the band. And, it was a really hard time.
What do you think? I've seen Ash wearing shirts that say "Drink coffee and hail Satan" and "Believe in witchcraft." Where do you stand on that, and what kind of importance does that hold for her?
It's not a real importance for her. She just likes like the darker, side of life, and especially if it has like that little like kind of fun S to it. Like I guess like the eat pizza or hail pizza, eat Satan, whatever it is. Me personally, I don't wear that stuff 'cause I don't represent it. Just because I get very much into like conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and all these symbolisms hold something true to some deeper meaning. And if I don't fully understand it, I don't want to play with it. It's almost like playing with a Ouija board, Just because you don't believe it, don't mean it ain't nothing gonna happen.
The new video for Shut Up was inspired by one of Ash's favorite horror movies of all time, American Psycho. Tell me about that.
I remember once she's like, all right, we're gonna do a music video. She had the idea right away. She's always seemed like a couple steps ahead. Like before, like whenever we're like, hey, I got an idea for this, she's like, I already got the treatment, She's ready for it. She is honestly one of the hardest working people I've ever seen in this industry. I don't think she even knows what a day off is. She's constantly working, doing something. So she pretty much set that whole thing up, had Jose Mangan from SXM Octane, be a part of it. He let us use the whole Affliction warehouse. So the entire music video was shot at the Affliction place just up the street. And I don't know how she does it, but she pulls the shit out of her ass and does it for like almost nothing too. I remember she was like on the phone with like directors, like this is gonna cost like $6,000. She's like, I'll do it for free. Like she has her ways.
How did the Diary of a Creep covers EP come about?
Oh, awesome. So we did this cover EP. One of the big reasons is before with every other album, the person who we were working with only gave us like maybe like 3 weeks to maybe a month, a little over a month to write an album. We got on this new team with Sony Red and Indigoot Management, and they're like, we obviously you guys need a new album, but take all the time you need. We want it to be perfect. But while we were working on Unbreakable, we needed to put something out. It's been 4 years since the last one. I remember the management was like, why don't you guys do like a little EP of covers? And we're like, that'd be awesome, Especially because we were already doing I'm Only Happy When It Rains with Lizzie Hale. And they're like, why don't we just add that? And she came sing on it again, because we performed that live at the APMAs in Cleveland during Warped Tour. And so like all that stuff just started to like kind of like take its way in. That we did like a cover with we did a cover of Marilyn Manson's Mob Scene. We did a My Chem cover for like these little one-off tracks. And it's funny because like even yesterday it was like, are you guys planning on doing any more covers? We're like, after that last one, yes, we would love to do more covers. We would love to add more songs to that because there'd be so many more fun songs we could do and make them our own. One of the things I really love about it is that it's not just like a karaoke version of the songs. Like, especially with like, Pantera's Hostile, we completely gutted it, made it our own. Ash's Don't Speak, it's like, it's a New Year's Day song now.
Do you want My Chemical Romance to get back together?
No.
Really?
Yeah, no. In the same sense, it's like, I remember you were asking, like, are you excited for the Misfits coming back together? It's like, yeah, but it's not the prime of what, we wanted to see. And that's when I want to see. Like, I want to see, like, the dangers of those days,
It's funny that you perceive that because a lot of people don't understand that. You can get a band back together, but they're older.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same. Would you say you formed a bond with Maria Brink and Lizzie Hale when you were on tour with them in 2018?
Absolutely. Pretty much the entire 2018 was our tour with them. And it was honestly, such a family vibe. Like when we run into them now at festivals every now and then, and it's almost like time hasn't passed by. They're some of the raddest people, the coolest people, especially the Hailstorm crew. Like, I just love them to death. Like, they're all just some of the coolest people. It was really some of the best times. Never felt more appreciated, and you felt like you were on that same level with them.
What did you take away from that personally?
A lot of it was like the professionalism about it, and like we, we're human. We stress out about stuff, and like we're like, oh my God, the sound was so bad, this isn't working. And they're like, it's cool, guys. And you're like, you know what? It is cool. Like, the fact that we're here able to play, and like, we're all like arenas and these giant places, and we're sitting there like, we get to do this too? Like, we get to be on the same stage? Like, we're not out here? It was really like a humbling experience. And see, like, these bands that, on the radio have, millions and millions of fans, play these arenas, treated us with more respect than a lot of like the scene bands who like we grew up with. And that was one thing we definitely took away from that. We're like, we will never treat bands the way we were treated, especially like on the last tour.
How would you define the word love?
For me, family. Unconditional. No matter the stupid shit I've done growing up, they've always had my back. They've always treated me with respect, which in turn, that's how I've come to do my best to treat everybody. I know every now and then you get a little attitude, you get a little, sarcastic, snotty, but I do my best, and it's all from family. And to me, that's whatever happens to me, I've always wanted to make them proud, and they'll always be my heart.
What has been your secret to not becoming a casualty of sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
It's seeing the world. It's seeing people fall, down that, and to just like, you stay focused, you stay working hard. And it's funny because like Frankie, our bass player, he just recently like completely 180 his life around. He stopped drinking, cleaned himself up like in every which way, and like he's actually like inspiration to me. It's just like, all right, stay focused, work hard, and we've only been going up since then. And then you'll go, every now and then I have to get dragged back to Hollywood. And you see some of these people who I used to party with and all this stuff like that, and like they're still in the same. It's like, dude, I'm not 16 anymore. I'll be 40 one day, and I don't want to be. I don't know. I don't want to be that.
The model of the industry is different now. Either you go out there and you work and you kick ass, or you're gone. You're eliminated.
Yeah, and nobody wants to mess with that anymore. Like the showing up late, being hungover, just being a train wreck of a person. Like, nobody wants to work with that. It's not 1982 anymore. The dirt was cool, that's fine. We don't need that anymore.
No.
It's not the 80s.
There's too many people waiting to take your spot now.
Exactly. That's another thing, too. I didn't even think of that part, but you're absolutely right.
What brings you the most peace in your life right now?
To be honest, it's this band. And I don't know if peace is the best word because it's loud, heavy rock. But yeah, this is my happy spot. And it's crazy because before we left for tour, everybody was so stressed to getting everything ready. Like, we were pretty much about to go insane. And once we got here, we're all like, guys ready to play a rock show?
Yeah. What would you like your legacy to be?
I don't know. I never really cared about leaving a legacy. I just wanted to just be.
If you could collaborate with any musician, living or dead, who would it be?
John Lennon or Elvis Presley? David Bowie.
I could see you playing with David Bowie.
Love that. Or I remember I used to watch all these like T-Rex documentaries, and they had like someone like, acting. I was like, it's 3 chords. That's all you gotta do. And I just remember I was like, I wish I was that guy, that little dude he was talking to, and just learn from that. But Bowie, not only is he Bowie, but like just such interesting chord changes that he used, and obviously just way ahead of his time.
So I interviewed his wife, Angie Bowie.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, back in 2012. If you believed there was a hell, would Hitler be rotting there?
I guess my interpretation of hell is different. I don't consider like this fiery kind of place. To me, it's not knowing yourself or being distant from yourself is what I consider hell, in a sense, like taking drugs where you're not really your human self and you're just living like the zombie life, I guess. I don't know. Thinking of people burning it's not my that's not my thoughts.
You don't think Hitler would be burning in hell? If you believed, if
I believed it, then I guess I would believe it.
So Hitler would be there.
I'm guessing so.
Okay.
I'm not the judge.
What's next for you?
So we have this headlining tour, which we have, Diamante, Savage After Midnight, and on a couple shows we have our buddies, We Are Rivals. And then towards the end of this, we hop on with Godsmack for another like couple of like arena shows, which I'm super excited for. This fall, we go to UK and Europe with Hailstorm and In This Moment.
Wow. Nikki Misery, it's been great talking to you, man. It's great to reconnect with you for the third time.
Right.
Thank you so much for taking your time out to do this interview on the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show.
Eric, it's been an absolute honor. Thank you for doing what you do. You also help keep this music alive, and you've done it for so long with so many people. Like I met you when I was like 12, 13, and see you still doing this. It's inspiring. It's awesome. So thank you for you.
And well, thank you for you, because it's inspiring to me to be like, dude, if you keep playing, you could be a rock star someday.
That is the wildest thing to me. It's so I've been like, all right, so I'm going to tell you this. I've been texting my mom and called her. I was like, you have no idea who I'm going to be interviewing with tomorrow. She's like, who? I was like, Eric Blair. She's like, no way. From the, back in the day. I was like, yes. I tell myself, my mom says hi, by the way.
Yeah, your family was awesome. Hey, man, those were good times. Those were simple times in the world. All right, this is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show with Nikki Misery of New Year's Day signing off. Bye-bye.
The Blairing Out Show.